Can psychedelics treat depression? That's not just a fringe question anymore. Big Pharma just put $1.2 billion on the table to find out. Abbvie is acquiring Gilgamesh Pharmaceuticals for its compound bretisilocin, a psychedelic-inspired antidepressant. Classic psychedelics like psilocybin and LSD activate the serotonin 5-HT2A receptor, and this binding unleashes a wave of glutamate, BDNF, and this unleashing also stimulates neuroplasticity. The rewiring may explain why people can report lasting relief from depression after just a single session of psychedelics. But these trips can also be long, intense, unpredictable, and often quite scary. Bretisilocin was specifically engineered to keep the therapeutic plasticity while shortening the psychoactive experience. How does this compare to current treatments we have? When we look at SSRIs, they work by raising serotonin levels broadly, but they also work pretty slowly. It can take weeks for any effect to be felt after a buildup of serotonin, and often they don't work at all for many people with treatment-resistant depression. An alternative compound being researched is ketamine. It works really fast by binding to NMDA receptors, but there is no long-lasting effect. Depression isn't just about a mood change or feeling blue. It actually involves a changed brain. There is weakened prefrontal limbic connectivity. How your brain parts are connected to each other changes in depression. There's impaired synaptic plasticity. How they talk to each other, how active they are changes in depression. And more often than not, there's also neuroinflammation and also systemic inflammation. And the complexity of the disease itself makes finding effective treatments quite difficult. Back to bretisilocin, what it does is it targets the 5-HT2A receptors directly, and this sets off a cascade where we get a glutamate surge, BDNF release, mTOR activation, dendritic spine growth, bunch of scientific terms that you probably don't need to really know. So in other words, it reopens a window of plasticity in the brain. When we look at the data, bretisilocin was quite effective in cutting depression scores on the MADRs, which stands for Montgomery-Åsberg Depression Rating Scale. Basically, psychiatry's gold standard for symptom change. And it did it so effectively by double digits after just one dose, far surpassing placebo. Why does this matter? Well, there are over 300 million people in the world living with depression. Up to a third of this 300 million are resistant to treatment. And it looks like psychedelic-inspired therapies could be the breakthrough that psychiatry has been waiting for.